one and only Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Dr. Savage, it is a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you.
I've been listening for a long time. I wanted to say I'm just amazed in this day and age, in 2011, with someone as learned as yourself, who just is one of the smartest people I listen to, can even believe in God today. I mean, it shocks me, actually, that
I like that. I like shocking you. Do you find it offensive that a man of intelligence would believe in God?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's absolutely never been any proof of it, and in fact, if you're Catholic or someone who believes in the Bible, it was admittedly written by man. I mean, at least Muslims and other religions, try to act like it was, that their word was written by God. But I mean, even if you're, I was raised.
Okay, I've heard you discuss. I don't reject what you have to say, nor am I going to here to try to turn you into a religious person. But let me ask you something. Do you believe Albert Einstein was super intelligent?
Of course.
Okay. Are you aware that Albert Einstein was a great believer in God?
Yes, I am.
Okay. No, I don't know, because a lot of atheists are confused because of the college posters of Einstein with the hair and with the tongue out that they put on campuses in order to debase his image. He said the more he studied the perimeters of the universe, the more he came to believe there had to be a God.
Right, but I also believe that religion is something that it can shape you throughout your entire life. Things that he had gone through had, for some reason, he had questions that could not be answered, and so he turned to religion. Much like yourself, you had said that you had discovered him when you had hit the bottom. I think that like some people out there, like I hate to bring up his name, but like Jesse Ventura or even like George Carlin used to say about God, that really it's something that if you have this hole in what you think is life and you have no answers for that, you have to go to this invisible man that is supposedly up there watching everything we do and all the evil that...
No, I've heard the atheistic arguments, and it's all, it's sort of hollow, the whole thing, because have you not had black moments in your life where there was nowhere to go? Who do you turn to? What do you turn to?
With religion, you're told that God only helps.
No, but I'm asking you as a believing atheist. You believe in the religion of atheism, which is believing in nothing and nothingness, but you actually believe in something which is nothingness when you think about it.
I more believe in people or something physical than something that...
But have you ever fallen down a ravine and broken your leg and been laying there with no one to rescue you? Who would you call?
There's no one to call. I mean, what good would calling God do? I mean, if someone hears you, help you.
So you'd pick up your cell phone and you wouldn't dial GOD, you dial 911. I get it.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's an argument. I don't even want to say it's an argument. It's really just your belief system.
That's right. You're not going to convince me not to believe in a supernatural being that controls the universe. But you got to understand this about me. I do not believe God is omnipotent. I believe God is omnipresent. There's a big difference.
That he's everywhere at all times, but he doesn't know everything.
See, many years ago, I went through a whole soul searching where I was about to become a total atheist. And I'd ask myself, how could a little child suffer from leukemia like this? How could a little child have cancer and suffer so violently? Why is it that evil men seem to thrive and get away with murder and rape and killing hundreds of thousands of people, while the innocent children, sometimes you go to a backward of cancer and you see suffering amongst children? I said, what kind of God is there in heaven with a thing like this? And I found a book on this. It was written by I believe it was a Reform rabbi, and he was more a philosopher, and he said that if he believed God was omnipotent but not omnipresent, he would cease believing because he would not accept the God that was so cruel.
I guess I got to apologize. And when you say omnipresent, you mean that he's everywhere at all times, or what? I mean, what's the difference between...
I believe that God's work is apparent everywhere. If I'm sitting in my radio studio looking out of the window and I see a bush, and I see an airplane, and I see the breeze, and I see a bird, okay? These are all manifestations of God to me.
Okay.
To me. It doesn't mean I see a spiritual being walking around who's going to wind up in my living room. I'm not Jimmy Carter. I don't believe he's going to show up in a white robe in my living room and I have to drink strychnine in order to prove it.
That's all the proof you need that there is a God, is because there are these things that are present that you see every day.
Yes. In other words, how could this ever happen by accident?
I think that there's many, many things, and I think you'd agree with this, there's many, many things in the world that cannot be explained by us. I think that man is, pretty low on the...
But you just touched again on something you struggle with all your life, and I agree with you. There are many things we can't understand. So how do you turn? What do you do at that moment when you reach a point you can't understand? What do you turn to? I don't understand it, and that's enough for you?
Well, no, I try to study as much as I can of things that have actually happened and people that have lived in the world and experienced what is to experience in the world, and maybe what they're... I kind of see it as a study that you spend your whole life trying to...
Look, we're not going to change each other's mind. A belief is a faith. That's all there is. It's a faith, and period. You can't prove it. It's a faith. That's why it's called faith-based.
In this horrible, disgusting world with what goes on every day, how can you have faith in this being? Even if there is a God, say that there is a God. If there is a God, how could he be such an incredibly cruel being to allow what happen in the world? You know how there was...
I have asked the same question. I've gone right there. I'm not different than Mother Teresa, who doubted God's existence at times in her life, but still trekked along on the path of God. Because there's no alternative. I cannot take myself off this path at this point in my life. It's impossible.
The story of Noah's Ark, obviously. Flood, because everything was so evil in the world that he needed to wash it clean, basically, and start over. You can't tell me that after all these thousands of years after that things are not 10,000 times worse than they were back then. And
yeah, but who says there's not going to be another flood?
Right, there could be, but it's been so long. I mean, there's just no...
Yeah, it's been a long time. That's why I have survival food on a hillside house somewhere.
I'm with you. I mean, I do think it's probably coming, but I think we're more likely to destroy ourselves before that actually happens. But
Yeah, that's a whole separate discussion. I want to ask you something. You've got my curiosity. Were you raised in any religion?
I was raised as a Catholic. I went to Catholic grade school, Catholic high school. I was confirmed in the Catholic religion, although at confirmation I was right towards the time of not, of really falling out of belief. But
what made you a lapsed Catholic? Something happened in your life? What happened?
I was the weird kid that was like 9 or 10 years old in Catholic. If you're in Catholic schooling, you go to church probably 2 or 3 times a week. And so I would sit in church, and the priest would want us to be involved, so he would ask us questions. And I would be the weird kid that stood up and said, okay, look, if there is a God, then, why does these bad things happen, blah, blah, blah. And they never had an answer for me. And
all right, no, hey, that happens in every religion. Every religion has kids who ask these questions. You're not the weird one. You're the smart one. You're the one who challenges authority. I understand that, but I've been that way all my life.
Right. I guess I felt weird because there was no other child, and in fact, I was laughed at for even asking.
Here's the thing about it. Do you do things in your life that you're ashamed of? Things that you really wish you didn't do?
Of course.
Okay. So who do you apologize to for that?
There is nobody to apologize to.
Don't you do any mea culpa saying, God, I'm sorry, I've sinned. I can't help myself?
No.
Well, what do you say to yourself? What do you say to yourself at that point?
You know what? I don't. I don't have those kind of internal monologues. I basically try to live my life. I feel that the 10 Commandments are a great way to live. I think that, all of the things that they list are things that you should probably try to do.
Did you say the 6 Commandments? You're sounding like Anthony Weiner now.
No, I said the 10 Commandments.
I'm joking. Come on. Because most Democrats believe in 4 commandments.
If you listen to George Carlin, it should really be like 2, because a lot of them overlap each other.
No, but most Democrats believe in 4 commandments. Well, it's an interesting conversation we've had so far, Mark. We haven't changed each other's position, and nor did we try to. We were like gentlemen having a discussion, which is the object of a discussion, which is not really to move the other guy, but just hear the other guy out. Would you agree with me on that?
Absolutely, yeah. I listen to you every day. I do love your show a lot, and I really do believe that you are just an incredibly intelligent person. I can't believe that radio is where you landed up, from being a professor and being all these things that you could have been or have done in your life, that you didn't go into a different path, and you're basically...
Well, I know that it's very interesting, but I was blocked in my desires to make a life in academia because I was a white male, although my credentials were the best on earth. They were only choosing people who were of a certain, let's say, stripe. But that's a long time ago. I have a large classroom every day with 8 to 10 million listeners a week. You can do the math. I mean, the audience is bigger in one probably 10-minute period than I would have had in my entire life as a professor. So things worked out very well. Also, the sale of the books is great. I have no complaints on that level at all. I'm not sitting here grousing about what happened. It was all, and I'm going to say this something now you're not going to believe, it was all God's will. See, I actually believe that it was all God's will. God did not want me to be limited to be a professor. He wanted to be the voice of reason on the air.
Savage.